If you're watching this, that probably means you commented never too late from my previous post talking about late transitioning. We were going to talk about three things. One was the journey, one was function and longevity, and one is moving towards the next best version of you. This is really meant for later transitioners, but honestly, it applies to everyone because I talk to a lot of people and I got 22-year-olds telling me that it's too late for them to transition. I want to just climb through the TV screen, I want to climb through the computer screen and slap them a little bit just to wake them up and realize that they have got a lot of life left. But I think that applies to all of us, to be totally honest with you. So let's break down these three components. Really, this is about the journey. I think in many ways, this is the most important part of this. For all of us, we wore a mask that was done for other people. It was done to protect the person on the inside, that little vulnerable girl for many of us, who, for the majority of us, we didn't feel that we were able to actually be our authentic selves. That's because of the society that we lived in, possibly, especially if you grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s, or even 90s. My first memories of transgender people was on Jerry Springer, and it was definitely not what I was. It was definitely not me. So I definitely wanted to keep that person safe, and as a result of that, I would wear a mask. And that mask for me was pretending to be that boy that I knew that I wasn't. So what is the journey? The journey is really about, are you moving? The journey is really about you and how you decide to move. Are you are you living for other people? Or are you living for yourself? Every time you take a step and you do something for somebody else in this way, not letting them see the real you, I know what it felt like for me. It felt like everything I did was a job. Everything I did pulled away from myself. It always felt like I was emptying the cup. You know, now when I take a step towards myself and I'm on that journey of myself, everything feels like I'm filling my cup. And what does that actually feel like? It feels like all of a sudden you have so much more capacity for love, so much more capacity for generosity. And I know this for a lot of trans women. I think it's pretty much everyone I talk to. We are such a generous group of people. We do things out of love for others. And sometimes it comes at our own expense. So, the journey is what it's all about. If you are moving towards yourself and you're moving towards this journey of authenticity, it feels fulfilling. It feels like you are actually becoming. It doesn't matter where you start, though. And I think this is one of the things that a lot of late transitioners feel. They're like, well, I'll never be successful. I'll never look the way I wanted to look. I'll never have that childhood, that girl childhood that I missed out on. There is a lot there to unpack. Acceptance is pretty much all we've got, to be honest with you. And I look at it this way. There's nothing I can do about the past. But if I spend all of my time regretting, feeling like I missed out in the past, what am I actually doing? I'm also missing out on the present. I'm missing out on the current time that I actually can make a change in. And I know how hard that can be when you're, 50, 60, or 70. And I kind of tell you, I got a couple of clients in their 70s, and these are the most amazing women. These are the women that I look up to, and I'm like, wow, I just love your zest for life, because they realize that what they've got left, however much time that is, it really is about making the most of it. So are you going to live your life for somebody else, or are you going to live your life for yourself? That really is what it comes down to. And this journey of ours is never going to be easy. It's never going to be easy one way or the other, though. I really believe that. If you're living it for somebody else, that is a different kind of torture. And, coming out and transitioning and doing all this stuff, it's so hard, but I would never for a second tell you that it's not absolutely worth it, regardless of how old you are. I remember when I started my transition, and I remember talking to the doctor, the first person I ever told that I was trans. And I was like, I just want to live one day as myself. That was the line of success. I want to die as me. So that's probably, for me, I feel like the most important part of this, choosing yourself. And that journey is really what it's all about. But if you're in good health and you have function and you have longevity, it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm 49. I'm very close to 50, and my partner, my fiance, Madison, she's 35. And lots of our friends are in their 30s. And I got to tell you, we are the energy in the room 99% of the time. We bring the party, we bring the energy. So if you have good function and you have a focus on longevity and sustainability, and you're in good health, guess what? You have a much better chance of having a really amazing transition. Why? Because now you've got longevity on your side. If I had terrible health and I was in a wheelchair, I was stuck in bed, my transition is going to be a very, very lonely one. Working out, having good health, eating right, getting on a program that actually works on function, longevity, sustainability, and health. I would say these are the four principles and these are the pillars of our program. The effects of those for many of our clients is that they are getting more, they're turning that masculine silhouette to a feminine silhouette. And I mean, that's kind of like the effect of the other four pillars. And for a lot of our clients, as somebody who is absolutely terrified of getting injured, and I am very, very careful with my own workouts, we are the same with all of our clients. We have clients with a variety of health issues and really kind of trying to work around those issues and work around those, health concerns to get the person healthier, from diabetes to old injuries to a good back to a bad back, working on function, working on longevity is one of the ways that you're going to have the best transition, especially later in life. A 20-year-old who's in perfect health, you're going to heal pretty fast. But if you're 50, 60, or 70, chances of you, recovering from an injury goes down. So the better you are at staying in good health, the better your transition is going to be, better results, but also you can actually have it for longer and more successfully. 100%. This is the key for us older transitioners. I want to live a long, functional, healthy life, and I want to do that. And the best way of doing that is a good diet, is working out, keeping yourself nice and healthy, working on your cardiovascular system and the muscular system. The better those four things are, the better your transition is going to go, simply put. And you're going to look better and hotter and good look in a good bikini, which is amazing. The third part, moving towards the next best version of you. This kind of ties into the first point about the journey, but it is a thing that I think a lot of transitioners worry about, is that they spend their time thinking, is this going to be successful? I'm going to give up all of this life for, for a potentially unknown future. And that's it's really scary to let go of the mask. My mask before was my body. It was, a very masculine shape. It was all that muscle. I was married. I had kids. I did this, and I had all of this bullshit. And um, I was so unhappy because I wasn't moving towards the next best version of me. I was working towards staying hidden, and staying hidden is gotta be one of the worst things that you can do. Hiding yourself from yourself, but B, actually the people around you who, love you, but they don't love the real you. They love the fake version of you that you're presenting to them so that you can continue to hide. As you start really, really figure out what it is and who you are, and you start moving towards that next best version of you, every day you feel like you are being more fulfilled. You are actually a better, kinder, softer, more authentic version of yourself. I think in the first year of transition, I did so much work on the outside, and then I thought, oh, my transition's over. Little did I know that all of the internal work was now going to start. And people would say, well, I've been transitioning for 6.5 years. And I'm like, it's got to be almost over, like in terms of transitioning stuff. And I said, really, the internal work, working on the next best version of me is a never ending ending journey. And it is a never ending journey that has fulfilled me in ways that I never could have predicted. And so, if you're working on that and you're working towards becoming the next best version of you, there is no end. The end is when you die, regardless of what it is, of when that time is. If I die tomorrow, well, I got to do everything I could up until that point. If I'm not doing that, I'm not working towards the next best version of myself, I'm stagnating. And if I'm stagnating, then I'm really kind of already dead. It doesn't matter if I die today, tomorrow, or 20 years from now. I like the story of Sisyphus and Zeus. Sisyphus was cursed with pushing the boulder up the hill. And imagine instead of the boulder falling back down the hill, you reach a plateau. And so life is really about moving towards the next best version of you. But that comes in discomfort. It comes in difficult situations. So if you're a late transitioner, remember, these things are absolutely the things that are going to separate you from stagnating and really just waiting to die. Oh, and that is such an incredibly sad thing. It doesn't matter how old you are. It literally does not matter. It is the quintessential answer to this question of, am I too old to transition? And obviously the answer is absolutely. There is no end. If it's the last day of your life, today is the day. Bye, y'all.